Good evening, and today's session is on project cost management. I'll try to ensure that the session ends within an hour. Last week, we looked at project schedule management, where we looked at the various steps in achieving the schedule for your project and the importance of critical path, and how you having baseline would help in assessing your performance. So you have the planned value, you have the earned value, and you have the actual cost. Today, we'll be looking at project cost management. As a project manager, your ability to be able to determine how much close to reality is key, so that you will not have so many variations as we hear in recent times. And after the 20 minutes presentation on the project cost management, we will be attempting some questions that are in line with the PMP structure, just to test your knowledge. So let's roll. Introduction: project cost management ensures project is completed within the approved budget. And for you to get this, you should understand WBS, Work Breakdown Structure. Today's session, we'll be looking at these 5 points briefly. Plan cost management. Why do you need to plan cost management, and what goes into it? We'll look at estimate cost, determine budget. 4, we'll look at control cost. When you determine budget, it becomes your baseline. Controlling cost is to ensure that you are within the baseline. And if anything has to change, if the budget has to change, it has to go through the agreed format. If it is predictive, then it has to go through the change control board. And of course, we have some practice questions. The key output of this will be cost management plan, cost baseline, work performance information, and your ability to be able to forecast. So forecast comes in when, let's say your project duration is 6 months, and at the end of the 3rd month, you are reviewing what you did. You are comparing your planned work against the earned and then against the actual. Then you'll be able to say, okay, with where we are today, if we continue this way, this is how we'll be faring at the end of the 4th month. So you conducting the project cost management plan and putting it into place will enable you to be able to determine where you are now and then predict where you will be in the future. Please, this is, if you scan this, you'll be able to chat with me directly. And so it will keep appearing on the slides for you to be able to scan and send me your name and your PMI ID for the purpose of PDU. Or if you have question on PMP that we are not addressing today, you can send me a message at godly hours, please. So we'll be picking each, why do we need to plan costs? The purpose is it will help us to define how project costs, how we will estimate it, how we will budget, how we will manage, how we will monitor, and how we will control it. So when you pick your cost management plan, for instance, it will tell you that the estimation we are going to use, say 3 points, for instance, or we are going to use analogous, we are going to collect invoice from 3 vendors. It will tell you how you will go about that. So you will not just be doing things ad hocly. What are the inputs you need to plan your cost for the project? You will need the project charter. Remember, the project charter is what empowers you as the project manager. And in that charter, you have the high-level budget. We call it the top-down budget. And you will have other information as key stakeholders, key risk, assumptions, and all that. So it's a good input into you planning cost for the project, and then the entire project management plan. I tell my students that the project management plan is like the mother, and within the project management plan, you would have the other subsidiary plans, and the cost management plan is one of them. Another input is EEF, external environmental factors. This could be internal and external. If it is external, then it has to do maybe with regulations, legislations, market conditions. If it is internal, it is internal within the organization, but it's actually external to the project. You know, when you work in organizations where you have multiple projects running concurrently, there may be some factors that may affect your project. So you need to know about that. And then you have the OPAs, which are the organizational process assets. When we say asset, it means something belonging to you. So it belongs to the organizations. It could be policies, it could be templates, ways of working. That is OPA. So it will also serve as input into you planning your cost. What are the tools that you need to plan your cost management? Expert judgment. There's something that comes with experience. So you will need that. If you don't have that, you look for someone that has it. Then data analysis. You will use meetings. You meet with your teams, you meet with stakeholders to look into things. This is important because for schedule, we spoke about WBS, the work breakdown structure. You know that is the decomposition, is breaking down the project into smaller components. And the lowest part, I always say this because they could ask you about that, the work packages. So you have the work packages as the lowest element in the WBS. In you to estimate cost or schedule or time, you break the work packages down into activities, and then you have activity list that will list all the activities. Now, if it is schedule, then you start depending on precedents and dependencies, that this activity has to come first before this, or these two activities can start at the same time. Because you have list of activities, you will know what to do. You can't do this alone, or you should not do this alone as a project manager. You do it with your stakeholders, you do it with your team members, and that is what you'll be doing during the meeting. And the output will be cost management plan. And in this cost management plan, you would have units of measure. How are we going to measure money? Are we going to measure money in Ghana cedis or in Naira or in USD? How are we going to measure time? Is it going to be in seconds or in hours or in a day and in weeks? For those of us who are familiar with MS projects, you know that when you need to set all this up, determine when we say 1 day, is it 4 hours? Is it 7 hours? Is it 5 hours? And when we say 1 week, is it Monday to Friday? Is it Monday to Saturday? Is it Monday to Sunday? So you need to determine all this and come up with units of measure that everyone on the project will use. And then another output will be control thresholds. You will be able to determine what the thresholds are for your budget. And then reporting format. Is it going to be a weekly reporting system? Is it going to be monthly? And then you, the project manager, should have a way of seeing the dashboard to be able to come up with your report. Because if you're working with predictive, you have to agree on milestones reporting, And then an exam tip that you should not forget is that cost management plan is a subsidiary plan. As I said, it's like one of the kits of their project management plan. Sometimes they will write some management plan and ask you which one is odd. They may write cost management plan, risk management plan, resource management plan. Then they will include the project management plan. The project management plan is the odd one because it's like the umbrella that contains all the subsidiary plans, the cost, the risk, the schedule, the scope itself, and all that. So you should be mindful. So cost management plan is a subsidiary plan of the project management plan. PMI often tests what comes first. Always know cost is planned before estimated. So you need to plan. Remember, when I said the reason why this is even it, the reason why we go through this cost management plan is for us to know how we are going to estimate, how we are going to budget, how we are going to manage, how we are going to monitor and control costs so that we do not have cost overrun. Number two, estimate cost. When you estimate cost, then you determine your budget. So when you have your activities and then you say fetching water, we will fetch, how many buckets of water are we going to fetch? We will fetch 100 buckets of water. How much is one bucket of water? It's 10 cedis. Okay, so if it is 10 cedis, then times 100, that's 1,000 cedis. Is it per week? Is it per day? Is it per month? When you have that, then you aggregate. Aggregation of the individual estimates will give you budget. So estimate cost, developing an approximation of monetary resources needed. I also tell my students, don't be overly optimistic when you are conducting your estimation. Don't be overly pessimistic as well. Just give the average rate. Sometimes, if it is possible, you give ranges. So make sure that the lower range is close to reality. Okay. The techniques that you use in the estimation is, or they are 5. 1, analogous, which you would depend on lessons learned or past project experience. And that is what you usually have in the project charter, because the people coming up with the projects, maybe the business analyst or senior management, they will look at it and say, based on what we did 2 years ago, then they will come up with a figure. It's dependent on maybe previous project, but we know that it may not be accurate due to inflation, depreciation, and no two projects is actually the same, because the people that are working on the project may not be the same as those who worked on the previous project. So their output may not be the same and other factors. But when you don't have time, you may rely on this, So you can use analogous, you can use parametric. Parametric is simply by saying, okay, so we need 50 yards of fabric. How much is a yard? $2. Okay, so 2 times 10 is $100. That is a parametric. And then you have the bottom up, which we say is the most accurate. You have your WBS, you have your work packages, you've broken your work packages down into the respective activities, and you have given estimation to each activity, each activity. And then when you are done, you sum up or you aggregate all the individual estimations, and that gives you your budget. And it is usually more accurate because the people that will do the work are the ones that will be giving the estimation. It's a lot of work and it takes time. And you can't get this budget without you conducting the WBS. And then the third way that you can estimate cost is through the 3-point estimating. Please, there are 2 types of 3-point estimating. You have the triangular, which is the average, which is the optimistic plus most likely plus pessimistic divided by 3. You are dividing by 3 because the variables are only 3. 1 optimistic, 1 most likely, 1 pessimistic. Then, but if you are asked to find PERT, which is probability, or we say is weighted average, the formula is slightly different. Is optimistic plus 4 times most likely plus pessimistic divided by 6, because now the variables are 6. So when you are reading your question, make sure, when they say 3 points, make sure you know whether it is the triangular, which is average, or PERT, which is the weighted average that you are calculating. So you can also use this for your estimation of cost. And then, of course, the 5th one is the reserve analysis. Know that, okay, let me say that I'm reminding you that the reserve analysis, we have 2 kinds. We have the contingency reserve, that is for risks that you have identified. The identified risks are called known unknown. So you've identified, you've analyzed, you've come up with possible responses in handling this risk should they occur. And so you have an estimation for the response. For instance, if you say that one of the risks is that there could be fire outbreak, and then you check, you analyze, and the probability of that occurring is about 60%. And then the impact it would add maybe 3 weeks or 3 months to the duration of the project is we add 200,000 Ghana cedi to the budget. So you come up with a response. It's okay, we will call Ghana Fire Service. I said, okay, so how much is it when you invite the Ghana Fire Service? They will charge 10,000 Ghana cedi. So you make provision of that 10,000 Ghana cedi. You add it to the budget of your project. So that will be part of the project cost baseline. It's important you know as a project manager that you should be disciplined, that if the risk that you came up with a response did not occur, don't spend that provision. All right, so that's the contingency reserve. Then you have the management reserve that is for risk that are unknown. We call them unknown risks. It means in the course of planning, you did not come up with anything on this risk. And the easiest example will be COVID. In 2019, 2020, when COVID came, I think even in Africa, or let me say Ghana, when we started hearing of it, we were just thinking, oh, it's in China. It's so far away, until it, hit us, boom. Now, for the organizations that had risk management culture, they were able to respond quickly. Having a risk culture means you are mindful of known and unknown. You will identify. You are mindful that there are risks that you may not also be able to identify. And so you make management reserve available for such. So those that had the risk management culture, they fell on the management reserve to be able to respond swiftly. Those that did not have risk management culture, it is not that they are now meeting management, they are now convincing management, back and forth, and that took a whole lot of time. What I just said now has been proven by the research unit of PMI, because they conducted research to check the organizations that handle COVID better, during that period. So these are the ways that you can estimate costs. Now, the management reserve, unlike contingency reserve, is not under the control of the project manager. It is with management. You, the project manager, will only contact the management when unknown risk becomes an issue. So now you have the estimation, you need to determine the budget. And like I said, you will aggregate all the estimated costs to establish an authorized cost baseline. So you just add them. That's the aggregation. And this would include contingency reserves, but exclude management reserve. I think I explained this not too long ago. And the funding limit reconciliation may require rescheduling. So you have the estimation, adding them together gives you the budget. What you should look at for tip in the exam is, if asked about authorized spending plan, the answer should be the cost baseline, because the aggregation of all the estimates, including the contingency reserve for the risk that you identify, will be the cost baseline. So as you work and you are monitoring and controlling costs, the baseline becomes the planned value that you are comparing your earned value and then the actual cost. Let me attempt to explain what earned value is for those of us who have done EVM, earned value management. Planned value is what you have planned. Okay, so the project, we are to sweep 6 rooms as a construction organization, and 1 room will take 1 month, and 1 room will cost 10,000 Ghana cedi. So it means in 6 months, we would have completed the 6 rooms. This is our plan. And then we would have spent 60,000 Ghana cedi at the end of the 6th month. So you as a project manager, because you give report to your stakeholders every month, on the 3rd month, you went on site. And by what you plan, you should have completed 3 rooms, spent 30,000 Ghana cedis. But when you got on site, at the end of the 3rd month, you have only done 2 rooms. So you have the planned value, which is 30,000 at the end of the 3rd month. Your earned value is what you have done, reflecting it on the planned value on your budget. So the 2 rooms that you did, should be 20,000 because every month you should have done a month, a one room, but you got a third month, you've done only 2. So it should be 20,000. But now you ask, so your earned value should be 20, right? But you ask the team that what is our actual cost? What did you actually spend in executing these 2 rooms? Then they told you it's 35,000 Ghana cedis. 1, you are behind schedule. You didn't fix 3 rooms. 2, you didn't spend 20,000 based on what you plan. Your end value should be 20, but you have spent 35,000 Ghana cedi. That tells you that if you continue, this is where the forecast comes in. If you continue in this target, there will be cost overrun, and then there will be schedule overrun, because at the 3rd month, you should have completed 3 rooms, but you haven't. Okay, so the amount, the figure, the 60,000 we are talking about is the cost baseline. That's why we are able to compare, use it to compare the actual and the earned. Someone may ask, so what happens if there's a change request and it affected the budget? Maybe in approving the change request, the budget increased. No problem. All you need to do is a change request is made. You, the project manager, will conduct some analysis, present it to the change control board. If the change control board accepted or approved the change, you go to review or revise all associated documents that change that has been accepted would impact, and cost to be part of it. So the first cost baseline you have by version control can be version 1 or maybe A, however you and your team decide to distinguish. And then the second one will be version 2. So maybe after the acceptance, it's no longer 60,000. The cost baseline has now increased to 70,000. That 70,000, as from that point, becomes our newest cost baseline. So it's important when you are reading question to be able to establish whether the change request being made has been accepted, as in it has gone through this process. What do you do when a change request has been accepted? You need to update your documents, Now you have your budget, you have estimated, you've aggregated the estimations, and now you have your budget. What do? You need to control costs. Controlling costs is to ensure that the baseline remains the baseline. You spend within the approved cost. So controlling costs is, yes, as I just said now. What do you need to control costs? You need the earned value management, the EVM, which would help to integrate scope, schedule, and cost. It will help to tell you, like the example I gave about the 6 rooms now, you can tell that, okay, this is the scope of the project, this is the schedule, that's the timeline we have, and the cost. And also, it will also help in forecasting. We have to tell you the estimate at completion, estimate to complete. Estimate to complete means that on the 3rd month when we got there, we had only done 2 rooms. We had spent 35,000 cedis. As the owner of the project or a stakeholder can say that, okay, from this point, how much do we need to complete the project? That is the estimate to complete, which is different from budget at completion. Budget at completion is holistic. It's like the budget itself from beginning to the end. So the estimate at completion could be higher or lower depending on how you are faring with budgets. And then you have to complete performance index, which shows the efficiency required to meet budget at completion or estimate at completion. And then you have the variance analysis. By now, you should know this. The formula for calculating CV, which is the cost variance, the formula for calculating SV, which is the schedule variance, the formula for calculating CPI, which is the cost performance index, the formula for calculating SPI, which is schedule performance index. And then you have performance reviews. We're having conversation, we did this, what happened, and all that. So these are the tools and techniques that you will need to help you control cost. If you're on the call and you are already in your PMP and you will need PDUs, please scan so that you can give me the information that I need: your name, first name, last name, and your PMI ID. So now let's look at end value management, EVM. It's plenty formula. I hope you know this formula. You must memorize them. Plan value is the authorized budget times percentage plan, end value EV equals budget times percentage actually completed, actual cost, that is what you actually spend, not what you plan. And so this is the formula for cost variance, EV minus AC, end value minus actual cost. Schedule variance equals end value minus PV. And you should know what it means. If it is 0, if it is less than 1, if it is greater than 1, you know, and, oh yes, if it is less than 1, it's 0 point something. And for the cost performance index, you should also know when it's greater than 1, what it means. Okay, so I've even provided answer for you. Cost variance, when it's positive, is under budget. Under budget means that you will not spend more than what you plan. If you have a positive schedule variance, what it means is, let me explain the cost variance. So you have end value and you have actual. If it is positive, it means actual cost is smaller than the end value. You are doing well. That's why if it's positive, you are under budget. Under budget means you are spending lower than you budgeted. For the schedule variance, if it is positive, you are ahead. It means your planned value is lower than your end value. It means you are doing more than you planned. So you are ahead. You are likely going to complete the project on time. And the cost performance index, if you divide it and it is greater than 1, it means the actual cost is lower than end value. If you divide it 2 by 2, it's 1. So it's not lower, it's not high. But if you divide it 3 by 2, 3 here is the EV, 2 here is the AC, the actual cost. So you have 1.5. It means the actual cost is lower than EV. So you are doing well, because what the CPI and the SPI is measuring is the efficiency. If you are getting the value, let's say for every 1 cedi or for every $1 that you are spending, are you getting work that commensurate to that $1? So if you divide it and it is 1, then it means you are getting the exact value of $1 for every work done. You are getting $1. If you divide it and it's lower than 1, what it means is actual cost is higher than the end value. So what it means is for every $1 you spend, you are getting less value. That's what it means. The same with the SPI. If you divided EV by PV and it's greater than 1, it means your planned value is lower than your end value. So you are, because end value, you earn it, you have accomplished it. So if what you plan is lower than what you earn, you are ahead of schedule. If it is the same, it will be equal to 1, which is better. But if it is lower, then it means what you plan is bigger than what you earn, what you have actually accomplished. All right. So this will tell you where you are. And then you can use this formula to forecast that if you continue this way, this is how we are going to fare. Estimate at completion. You can use this formula as budget at completion divided by cost performance index. So it means if you are not given the cost performance index, you would have to calculate it yourself. Okay. It's not difficult, and you can also use this. So you use this when cost efficiency expected to continue. That is, when you calculated, you can forecast that, okay, it will continue in that target. Then you can use this formula to find the estimate at completion. And then you can use this formula, EAC equals actual cost plus into brackets budget at completion minus earned value when past variances are typical. And then you can use the third formula to forecast total cost, AC, actual cost plus into bracket budget at completion minus earned value into bracket divided by cost performance index multiplied by schedule performance index when both cost and schedule matter. So it depends on the situation on hand. Then the next slide is a continuation. Formulas that you must memorize for the exam. Estimate to complete. I said you have started the project and you are at this point and you want to find how much do we need for the remaining part of the project. You can use estimate at completion minus actual cost, or you use variance at completion equals budget at completion minus estimate at completion, or you can use to complete a performance index this formula. For those that don't like maths, I know you are frowning now, but you'll be fine. Okay, please, another tip, PMI loves tricky formula switches. So estimate at completion scenarios to write formula. Make sure you are using these estimates at completion. We have 3 different formula depending on the scenario. So pay attention. In fact, most times when I see PMI's question, I laugh because I can tell they are trying to be tricky. Anytime I see any question that is simple, that oh, this one, I pause because it is simple truly, but if you are not careful, you get it wrong. So you read, question yourself, read again, before you choose answer. So these are my few tips before we get into today's practice questions. 1, memorize formula. But more importantly, know when to apply each. Know that PMI questions are scenario-based, so they can describe some things. You need to be able to, they may not say EV equals this, N value equals this. You need to understand what N value is to be able to deduce it from the question. So if you're writing PMP, and nobody is asking you, what is this? Define this. What are the advantages? 2, so memorize the formulae, but know when to apply and know how to deduce them from questions in case they are not given directly like that. 2, watch out for terminology traps. Cost baseline is not project budget. Cost baseline is the aggregation of the estimates that you made out of the activity list plus contingency reserve. Project budget is the cost baseline that I just described now, plus management reserve. So they are not the same. Don't say, oh, you can use cost baseline for project baseline. They mean the same thing. I beg. They don't mean the same thing. 3, practice data interpretation. Many questions require calculating cost performance index, schedule performance index, and interpreting results, like what I did now earlier, that if you did schedule performance index and it's less than 1, this is what it means. If it is equal to 1, this is what it means. If it is bigger than 1, this is what it means. You need to understand. Sometimes they can even come with a question and say that project and the cost performance index is this, the schedule performance index is that. What does it mean? So please practice and understand how to interpret the data. 4, for agile projects, cost management may rely on burn rate. By now you should know what burn down means and what burn up means. So that's the burn rate. Know what predictive and adaptive approaches are. Know that all the things we are talking about, excuse me, planning and WBS, work packages, activity is under predictive. For adaptive, when they pick whatever they need to do from the product backlog, estimation is done for the iteration, only for the iteration. Okay, so what they will pay the team members, if it is hourly rate, daily rate, weekly rate, and then other overhead for the iteration only. But what we are talking about for predictive, you are planning from beginning to end. If you read the question, it says extensive planning from beginning. You see, there's nothing they can coin inside. It has to be predictive or hybrid. Predictive or hybrid, because hybrid has gotten components of predictive in it. It can never be adaptive alone. 5, use mock exams to train speed. Calculation question can be time sinks. So for those that are mathematics phobia, mark the calculations. If you came across a question that involves calculation, mark and proceed. Mark and proceed. The only thing is now, the exam is broken into 3. So your first 60 questions, they are not using time. They are not using like you have spent 1/3 of the time, 2/3 of the time. They are using the number of questions you have completed, because the questions are 180. So first 60, the screen will come up and show you what you have done. Okay. And so if you have any questions you have marked, it will come up and then you can click on it, answer, and unmark it. Then it will ask you, do you want to take your 10 minutes break? The 10 minutes break will not be taken out of your time slot anyway. If you said yes, the screen will hang, you will go out. 10 minutes, you come back and continue. If you said no, it will continue. It will now go to the next 60 questions. You will have opportunities to mark again. Once you finish the 60 questions, another prompt will come. You have 10 minutes break, washroom, bathroom break. Do you want to take it? Yes, you go. No, it continues. So when the next 60 you've done comes up, that is the time for you to look at the ones you marked. For me, I run through the questions again, the ones I've marked, the ones I didn't mark, unless I'm not doing well with time. So if you know calculations gives you a headache, just mark, proceed. When it notifies you that you've seen 60 questions, then you can look at the ones you marked and then attempt them. This is the flow for cost management. You plan, you estimate, you aggregate the estimate to get the budget, and then you control. You can use the EVM for the control. So this is one of my favorite things, that you can do it. Sometimes some people I'm not saying PMP is not a challenging certification. It is. There's a lot of information, and rightly so. It's the leading, in fact, it's the gold standard when it comes to project management. So it makes sense that it requires a lot of work for you to do it. But the people who passed, they have only one head like you. So you can do it. I understand the frustrations. I understand the time constraints. But my advice to you is that please just squeeze and make time. And I'm always using myself as example. I wrote my PMP in 2011. My older daughter was 11 years. There was, how do you tell children, say that I'm studying? In fact, the few times they saw me studying, I didn't even like it, because when I failed, they kept asking, Mommy, the exam, have you written it? I couldn't say yes, because if I said yes, then they would say, did you pass? And I didn't want to lie, But I studied often when they sleep. And that was 3:30. I'll wake up 3 a.m. And then I will struggle with the sleep, take my bath, take a cup of tea. Then the tea will wake me up. Then I will do the studying. The studying here for me was mainly reviewing the, what is it called? The simulator. When I will attempt the simulator when I get back from work. Then I leave the review for morning, because I'm a morning person. That's when I will take notes, write notes. It's okay. This is the reason why this is the right answer. So I try to understand the principles behind the right answers without memorizing the answer, so that when I come across similar question, I'll be able to apply the principles to the question. And that was how I did it. And you can also do it. And for me to be having this session every Monday, it's my commitment to support your journey. So don't, as Nigerians we say, don't fall my hand. Okay? So, and this is it. Please scan send me your PDUs are for those who already have certification. So if you don't have certification, you don't need to send your name to me or your PMI ID. You can also chat with me if you think you need my support. But don't chat with me to ask me to give you free simulator, okay? All right. So this is our first question. So I hope those that are on TikTok can see the question as well. Question 1, a project manager is working in a construction project where the budget at completion, BAC, is $1 million. After 6 months, the actual cost is 600,000 and the earned value is $500,000. What is the project CPI and what does it indicate? A, 0.83, the project is under budget. B, 0.83, the project is over budget. C, 1.20, the project is under budget. D, 1.20, the project is over budget. So as we do it, hey, are people already dropping answers? Anyway, good for me. So let's go. Those on the TikTok, please also drop your answers as well. Okay. Hello, are you dropping? You must first remember the formula for CPI to be able to do this. Yes, I see few answers. You are 19 on this call, so I'm expecting more. On the count of 10, then I reveal the answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so for those of us not answering this question, can somebody tell me why we are not answering? Hello, good. Okay, so who can I've seen somebody selecting A and someone also selected B. Can you unmute yourself to tell us why you choose the answer you did? We are all learning here, so please let's be vulnerable. Yes.
Hello, madam.
Yes.
Please, I chose A because 0.83 is not equal to 1, is less than 1, so it is under budget. That is why I chose A. Thank you.
How did you get the 0.83?
So the CPI formula is EV over AC divided by AC.
Okay.
Yes, please. That is what I used. Thank you.
Okay, so yours is A.
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you. Who chose B?
Okay, I chose B. And going by the formula, it says when it is greater than 1, it is good efficiency. So and if 0.83 is less than 1, I believe that it means you are going over budget.
Damilola, you have confused me. So this is it. The formula is EV our EV is 500,000
Yes.
and the actual cost is 600,000.
Mm-hmm.
The end value is you have earned it. That is the work that you have done, and it's based on budget. So,
Okay.
like I said, the example I gave earlier, you had 6 rooms to work, whether carpet sweep, and every month you complete 1 room, and 1 room is 10,000 naira. Okay. So at the end of the 3rd month, what you should have done should have been 30,000. That should have been your earned value, 20,000. But when we got there, you had done 2 and it's 35,000. That is the actual cost. So you are spending more when you have not even done as much as you are supposed to do, and you have spent more than your actual. So it cannot be over. Anyway, let's look at the answer. Over budget. Yes. Damilola, you are right. So what it means is if you are spending more, so it's over budget.
Yes.
Who was the first person who explained it? Who explained it?
Is me, is Gerhard.
Gerhard,
Yes, madam.
do you get it now?
Yes, please. I understand now.
For such a long time as an instructor, I also struggle explaining the earned value. And it is not too long ago that I used the word earn.
Yes.
You have earned it, you have worked on it, but you are comparing it to your budget, your planned value. Sometimes it's confusing when earned value equals planned value equals actual cost. It means that it looks like there's no difference, but actually there is difference. So the formula with the explanation that I attempted here is the formula that we put here. Don't let us be, I'm assuming the explanation here is clear.
Yes,
It
please.
means if you continue, you will spend more than what you plan, and then we will have the cost overrun.
Okay. Thank you.
I hope, are you preparing for exam or you are just doing this to acquire knowledge?
Yeah, please. I'm currently pursuing my master's in project management with KNST.
Oh, okay.
Yes, please.
Anyway, so question 2. During cost baseline preparation, the sponsor insists on including the management reserve. What should the project manager do? A, agree because the management reserve is part of the cost baseline. B, decline because the management reserve is not included in the cost baseline. I mentioned this, so I'm expecting everyone to get this right. C, add the reserve but document it in the risk register. D, escalate to the steering committee for a decision. The people on TikTok, drop your answers. This one, we should all get it right. During cost baseline preparation, the sponsor, I think I differentiated between project budget and cost baseline, and yeah. So if you paid attention, this shouldn't be a problem. All right, so I see B, 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 D. All right, so I need someone to volunteer. Out of the people who chose B, one person to volunteer and tell us why is B. And then the person who chose D to also volunteer to tell us why they chose D. Let's hurry up so that we don't spend too much time. I should call someone.
Hello, madam. Good evening.
Good
My name
evening.
is Agreed.
Okay.
Yes, I'm attempting to answer it. So I chose B because management reserve is reserved for management, like you explained earlier, and you also explained that the overall project budget is equal to cost baseline plus management reserve. So there's no way it can actually be part of the cost baseline. That's why I chose the B.
All right. Thank you very much. Then who chose D? Is it the color that I know? Hello, color. Okay. When you are answering questions, one of the things you should actually avoid is picking the option that says escalation. You have to have taken some decisions before you escalate. The only time you can escalate is when it's been stated categorically that it is beyond your control. Let's say your threshold as a project manager in the project management plan, you will know your limits when it comes to cost, when it comes to time, when it comes to quality. So if it is within your limit, you don't escalate it. If you are to resolve a problem and you are unable to, after you have made some attempt, then you can escalate. The reason Adelaide gave is the best because the management reserve is not part of what you control as a project manager. And the question is clear. During cost baseline preparation, the sponsor insists on including the management reserve. You just have to gently educate the sponsor, out of all these options. When we've spoken that as project manager, you have to be mindful and satisfy your stakeholders. But out of these four options, the B is the most appropriate. I agree because the management reserve is part of the cost baseline. That's not true. C, add the reserve but document it in the risk register. Then it will no longer be cost baseline because during cost baseline preparation, that is the focus. And then D, escalate to the steering committee for a decision. You already know that the management reserve is not part of what you are doing. So out of these four options, B is the appropriate one. I've been telling my students that sometimes the questions, you don't understand it. If they give you 10 hours, you don't know it. Just look at the options, bearing in mind that PMI is an ethical organization. PMI believes in a win-win situation. PMI believes in communication. PMI believes in resolving issues, finding solutions. PMI believes in value delivery. PMI believes in influencing. PMI believes in resolving conflict. Then you'll allow these things you know about PMI that are supposed to be part of the traits of a project manager to guide you in selecting the best option because you may not know the answer outrightly. And I attempted to put some explanation there. Okay. Then question 3. Your CPI, I hope you have pen and paper to be able to do some of these calculations. Your CPI equals 0.90. I think I've gotten something wrong here. The project sponsor asks for a new forecast at completion, assuming both schedule and cost inefficiency continue. Which formula would you use for EAC, for estimate at completion? Excuse me. Remember, there were some 3 formulae that you can use to find the estimate at completion. So this is where PMI wants to know whether you know them. Excuse. So I'll count up to 10 so that we can move to the next question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. People of God, are we all preparing for exam? Only 2 answers. How now? Okay. Hey, nobody has even answered though. Please, am I audible?
Yes, please.
And can you see the screen?
Yes, please.
Hey guys, I think I see some attempts. Hey, then this one there. All right, let's just go to the answer. Please don't forget to scan if you are looking for PDF. Let me try and go back to this in the slide. This is the 3 formulae for calculating estimate at completion. When we finish and you want the slides, I'm happy to send the slides to you. But you can also watch this on the YouTube channel. The recording, all this thing will be on YouTube. This, you have to memorize it. You use this formula when cost efficiency expected to continue. You use this when past variances are typical. They're not predictable. You use this, the third one, when both cost and schedule matter. So in this one, you have to memorize it. I don't know how else to say it. Sorry, so the answer is this. Let's move quickly to question 4. And in the situation where you don't know the answer, you apply all the principles, don't leave it empty because you are not penalized for wrong answer. Prayerfully select one and it may be right. Okay. Question 4. A project team uses parametric estimating to forecast cost. Which of the following best demonstrate this technique? This one you have to know what parametric is, analogous is, 3-point estimation, bottom up estimation. Okay, so A, applying expert judgment to refine a bottom up estimate. B, using past project costs to determine a rough estimate. C, multiplying $2,000 per square meter by 5,000 square meters for total cost. D, using 3-point estimation, optimistic, most likely, pessimistic. Which one is the answer? Let me count to 5, then we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me peep what's Damilola. Why did you choose B?
I actually guessed because looking at looking at the options, right? The first one is already talking about bottom up. I don't think that's parametric. I don't know. This C is saying multiplying $2,000 per square meter. I'm like, where is that coming from? There's nothing talking about money here, so I did that. That was why I didn't go for that. And then 3 points is already obvious that. That's why I didn't, that's why I picked B. So I guessed, I don't know if I'm right.
Okay, thank you. For those who chose C, can we get someone to explain why they chose C?
Auntie Jumi.
Yes.
So with I want to attempt my answer. I chose C. So with your previous explanation, you spoke about one of the methods that's using the parametric estimating. So which involves using formulas to predict costs. And you gave an explanation if you are looking at an activity, if you want to purchase a bucket of water or a gallon of water, how much is it per gallon? Is it daily, weekly? So that informed my decision to choose 6 because here we are looking at calculating an amount of money per square meter for the cost. Thank you.
That's what parametric is. So you were sewing, let's say you got an order to sew rope for a 2050 member car. I said, okay, so how much will it cost? So I'm not very sure. Okay, let's make an estimation of 4 yards per each car member, and a yard is 10 cedi. Okay, so it's 10 times 4. That's 40 Ghana cedi for fabric for each of the 250 people. So it will be 10 times 4 times 250. What I just explained is parametric estimating. Because you have not done due diligence to say, okay, we have 10 fat people, 2 slim, and then average size. Okay, so the slim and the smallish people, they will use 3.5 yards. We have not done anything. We just gave, boom, just as what C did, 2,000 per square meter by 5,000. We give you the total cost.
Sorry, Ma, is that not also you using like past project or something? Because so I crochet, for example, if someone reaches out to me to say, how much will it cost to make maybe a cardigan for me, or I would look at, okay, I made for someone that is maybe a size this and this was what it amounted to. And then I would also use, okay, I used 5 balls of yarn and this and all that. So I'm thinking, isn't that also parametric? Because in my head, I'm like, how did you come up with the amount? They didn't tell me whether the company is into building or anything. That's the reason why I don't know.
Okay, I get what you are saying. There's nowhere that says this is past, the rate is from past projects. There's nothing here that says
Yeah.
that. And they are not really testing whether it's construction. They just want to know whether you know that what they've done in C is parametric estimation.
Okay.
It could be
Okay.
that someone actually looked for the rate of how much is per square meter, and you call it, oh, per square meter is 2,000. Okay, so how many square meters do we have here? 5,000. Okay, so 2 times 5,000.
Okay.
There's nothing here that says it's based on past. If they had mentioned anything about past, then it would have been analogous estimating.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
parametric is from parameters.
Thank you, ma'am.
Most welcome. Question 5. A project manager discovers that the actual costs are much higher than planned for the early phase of a project. The sponsor requests a report. Which document is the most appropriate to compare planned versus actual expenditures. A, cost baseline. B, cost management plan. C, risk register. And D, funding requirements documents. What would the answer be? I need more answers, at least 2 more people. Yeah. Last week, I think the questions were overly simple, so I went for a little bit difficult questions this time around. Okay. Question 6. The project has budget as completion $500,000, earned value $200,000, actual cost $250,000, planned value $220,000. Which statement is correct? A, CPI, cost performance index equals 0.80. Project is over budget. Schedule variance equals 20,000. Project is ahead of schedule. Schedule performance index equals 1.1. Project is behind schedule. Cost variance equals 30,000. Project is under budget. Which of these is correct? For you to be able to determine this, because you need to know whether this CPI is correct, you need to know whether this SPI is correct, you need to know whether the schedule variance is correct, cost variance is correct. So that is the only time you will be able to determine which is correct or what is the answer. I don't want you to guess. You remember the formula? I need one more answer so that we can move. Okay. I see AAA. So now we know over budget and under budget. Okay. Question 7. Which of the following best describes the relationship between cost baseline and project budget? The cost baseline includes both contingency and management reserves. B, the project budget equals the cost baseline plus the management reserve. C, the project budget equals the cost baseline minus the contingency reserve. D, the cost baseline equals the project. D, the cost baseline equals the project budget plus the management reserve. So which of these is correct? We have exceeded our time today. I need one more answer and then we can move. Okay. I see B. That's comforting. Was cost baseline. Yes, the project budget includes the cost baseline and the management reserve. All the others are just playing with words. Question 8. You are preparing the cost management plan. Which of the following would not typically be included? A. Rules for measuring performance. B. Control threshold for cost variances. C. Detailed cost estimates for all work packages. D. Units of measure and currency to be used. Which one will not be part? It's a bit tricky. Yes, you know, answer it. Thank God. Oh. Yes, we need more answers. Okay. One more, then we address it. One more. Sometimes in answering the question, you need to understand each of the options sometimes, or the odd one out. This question is asking us that whilst you are preparing cost management plan, there are things you will need, and they have included something that you will not need. You are preparing cost management plan. How would you have detailed cost estimates for all the work packages? It is after you finish that you will have the cost estimates now. You have to finish. So what you will not typically have is the C. Question 9. The project has EV $400,000. Actual costs $450,000. Budget as completion $1.2 million. The project manager expects future cost performance to be similar. Remember those three formula for estimate at completion to be, so you have to use the appropriate one here. The project manager expects future cost performance to be similar to past performance. What is the estimate at completion? Cover. Okay, no answer yet for D. Because of time, it's 1,350. And this is the formula that you will use. You first need to determine what the CPI is, and then you use this particular formula where you have the budget at completion divided by the CPI, cost performance index, and it will give you approximately 1.35. The last question, in an adaptive project environment, how is cost management typically approached? A, by preparing a full detailed cost baseline at project initiation. B, by controlling costs through burn rates and incremental funding per iteration. C, by using deterministic end value management formulas at the start of each sprint. D, by aggregating costs at the program level only, not the project level. Yes. All right. And that's the answer, by controlling costs through burn rates and incremental funding per iteration. It cannot be A. You don't prepare fully detailed cost baseline. So with this, we come to the end of today's session. I thank you and I apologize that we exceeded 1 hour today. If I have a channel, if you want to be in that channel, then you scan this one. Yeah, for you to chat and send me your details for your PDU, you scan this. Before we close, as I usually do, I would like to ask if you have any question regarding what we've done today or pertaining your journey towards getting your PMP certification. Any question? All right. No question, but if you remember any question, you can always get in touch with me. And if you already follow Working Values YouTube channel, tomorrow, please check for, I think 9 a.m. The video should be on the YouTube. You can watch, pause, and learn. If you have any question, please get in touch and I'm happy to answer. See you next week, Monday, by God's grace, 6:30 Ghana time. All right. On this note, I say bye-bye. God bless you and all the best towards preparing for your PMP. Bye.